Hello, friends. Thank you so much for your patience, your understanding, and heartfulness, compassion. I hope that you'll be able to understand and, if not relate, at least respect me trying to express and share what I've been through, and I've been doing the best I possibly can. Working too hard, in fact, manual labor, just trying to maintain everything in this place, but I'm very thankful to have survived by a miracle of God, and that so just to share some specifics, that the court, thank you for everyone's prayers. I'm sorry to worry. Thank you for your care and concern, for all of my true friends here, and I was able to to go over, and we petitioned, I guess that's the word, to be able to get a public defender. Filled out application. We were there, I think, a total of about 3 hours. So thankfully, we weren't having to camp out, but it was still pretty exhausting and also very, very stressful. Just having to be there. And I did, of course, plead not guilty, which I am. Had been falsely convicted of trespassing, breaking and entering, and it was all based on good intentions. And I had informed the fairy tale farms about exactly when I'd be able to visit. They were non-communicative, but they were receiving the messages, and they ended up filing a warrant for my arrest, and did not inform me of that. I found out through my mom several days later, and ended up trying to report crimes here on the home front with some of the neighbors, and they ended up handcuffing me in front of Mr. Ginger, and I had to go through the whole interrogation process, be put in a in prison for several hours. I was barely able to even maintain my sanity. I could not handle any more than that, and I know that I wouldn't have survived any longer than that. So thanks to Wahoo, the bouncer wrong number bar, who let Omar know, who bailed me out, and if there were money involved, I would have been forced to stay there and suffer. And they did not make an attempt to clear the charges. And they did not even make an attempt to communicate that there were charges made. And so they did not go through any of that. And I'm very, very much been kept away over 10 weeks now from my 3 babies, the ones on the farm, who are being boarded there, but we have no way to verify what goes on. Just having to keep the faith and be hopeful that they are being ethically and treated, because the owner was aware of how much trauma and torture we've all been through, and that they're needing extra support with that, and also to be able to be reunited with their family. But they did not make any efforts to communicate with me, being the owner, the rightful owner and mother, and having to have an intermediary, my friend Nick, thankfully, and my mom, who they made an original agreement with, and did not notify me until after the fact, without my permission or consents. So that's why I'm having to restore my competency, because right now it's become a dictatorship more than so it should be is a healthy mother-daughter relationship, and it's really interfered with my own rights and freedoms to the extent of causing all these anger problems, triggering my emotional issues. And it's not because of anything related to medication or alcohol or any of the things that people want to pretend it is, but they don't know. And they don't know what I've experienced, having gone through all this trauma, continually also having death threats and verbal abuse from some of the neighbors. And then also, on top of that, this all could have been avoided if I had had the right support, and if people who understood, who are in authority roles, are not abusing their authority by condoning that treatment and by forcing me out. They first threatened to evict me October 31st. And as you know, that was serious extra stress and trauma when I was trying to recover from everything, including a seizure disorder, 2 hospitalizations, both of which were not, none of these hospitalizations have been my fault. And I was poisoned by one of the neighbors, and I have not reported that yet, but then they said they moved the deadline to be evicted. That was a threat, that they threatened to remove the TCLI support for the housing, My mom was already paying out of pocket several $100s, which she can barely afford being a single mother and having to take care of my elderly 100-year-old grandmother. She has done way too much above and beyond. She has a lot of healing to do. She has been in, very, very, very volatile situations, has both been very vulnerable as well. Her daughter also being victimized in multiple ways. And I'm definitely needing the right support in so many different ways. I will share a separate post and video about what we actually specifically need help with. And I thank you for those who are willing to consider that and not be ashamed, but be proud that we are coming through this and that we have come through so much and that we're living on for the right reasons and remembering that our true loved ones really do care and really do want to be helpful and understand the true situation, and that I have been completely honest and in some ways have been victimized for that too, of being fired from my job and not having an income and struggling. But on the flip side, I'm coming through doing the best I can, and with my tea business, Tealation, thank you for those who wanted my tea business to survive and thrive. And I'll be sharing more of Tealation, Facebook. I'm coming through. I have a lot of Christmas and gifts, or whatever holiday you celebrate, gift giving. May you do it for the right reasons, from the heart to heart. And I've got a lot of music to share. That's one way of supporting. But I'll share in a separate video about ways to support, and also that I'm been working so hard to get back and to be able to benefit and bless others' lives too. So I'll be sharing specifics about that. But sorry, I get that. I know I'm not trying to be long-winded, but that should not be a complaint. Everything I have shared has been true and real, and we're needing our real friends to be able to come alongside us and to be able to be loving and supportive and hold the babies, to be able to have some celebrations. We would love to be invited. We would love to be included. We have been kept out of so much and victimized and mistreated. So we are trying our best to be able to recover from all that, and we appreciate our friends' efforts too. Also, getting back to music here, as you see, the patriotic drum set in the corner. Forgiving those who stole my cymbals. Forgiving those who took away my mic. Forgiving those who issued me fraudulent checks, would not pay me for my shows, treated me as though I was an unknown, underappreciated, underrepresented artist, which I have been. But I am an authentic artist, and I don't say that in a conceited way. I'm actually a humble, heartful person. I've actually been quite a humanitarian. I've given back with my music. I will share more about that soon. But you can stay tuned with that at SBBS Music on Facebook. We'll be excited to be able to share Christmas songs, songs from the spirit, songs of the season, and songs from the heart. What's most important, love. And that we will always love and do our best to be always loving. Like the Dolly Parton song Whitney Houston popularized, that I have had so many dreams about and want to be able to share in my own way and touch people in their own way. So that's just one example, and I want to share My Heart Will Go On. But I've got a lot of other classical, Ave Maria, and Carl Mio Ben. I've got a lot of traditional Christmas carol songs, and of course, it's not all about me. I'd love to be able to share, but I'm trying to be able to feel reconnected, feel supported, and focusing on the miracles and the blessings, on a celebration of what He's given us in life, with love, with compassion, with the gift of life that endures forever. And you know what? All of these things that are material in this world, even our bodies, face, body, hair, all of that, we can appreciate and love it while we're here. And may we want to be able to help people be here longer and live better lives. and not do what's wrong and try to take away and destroy and mess with people's lifespans, because that's what people have done to me and these babies too. And that's never been our intention. So we need to learn to protect our own emotions, to protect each other, to defend each other. That's what's right. And also that the gift that he gave us is this little baby who became a man, who was more than a man, who became the king, the name above all names, the king of all kings. And I don't say this to impose my beliefs on other people and make anybody feel anything. This is a gift, and by the grace of God, you have the power and authority to accept the authority of Christ by accepting the grace of the gift of life. I know how much love is a part of that. It is nothing that dies, and that we would have died and just died, and we would have been destroyed and just been destroyed, and those ashes would have just been ashes. But we have the element of spirit, of soul, and the element of unconditional love that no one, nothing, no principalities, no authorities, no one and nothing can separate the power and the bond of love between us and our spiritual team, between us and each other. So when you're tempted to go into the realm of hate, and the forms of resentment, it's a form of poison. It festers under your skin. Sometimes it has to be an expector in there. It doesn't always come out the right ways. But if you can let it out in ways like through art and through music and through whatever other means that you feel called to, that are not hurting or harming every living creature, to take it out if they anger on the drum set, and to not be violating people, after 9, whatever. To be able to do it for the right way, to find a way to release that, to let go and let God and give that to Him. Because we do not need or want this emotional baggage that weighs us down. Just weighs heavy on the heart, but on all of life. And the more we can surrender to regain control of our lives, the better off we are with our real relationships too. To remind each other that people may perceive us as being fake. When I wear my blonde wig, when I have blonde hair, they call me a blonde bimbo. When I wear brow stylist, whatever, people perceive people as being a certain stigma, stereotype. But we are more than real. We are worthy creations. So are the animals. So are the plants. And we cannot continue to live in this world, in any area of this world, wherever you are in whatever, wherever, and be destroying things, be mindlessly putting things into the landfill. These animals that have suffered, this is their home. This is their habitat. They have a habitat and a place on this earth, and they were created not to suffer, not to be destroyed. We were created not to suffer, not to be destroyed. So we need to respect that. And these gardens that we grow, they can sustain an entire globe, starting with smallest seeds, the size of a mustard seed. Faith sometimes is that small. But when you cultivate it, when you propagate it, when you understand what it's like to nurture those seeds, to fertilize them, which the bunnies do in an organic way, and we can thank them for it and be respectful. And to be able to understand that the harvest is for us, and it is for us to share. And those gardens cannot grow with the weeds, with the kudzu and the ivy and the wisteria. It looks beautiful, looks like a great ground cover, but sometimes it's stifling the life out of the plants that deserve to grow and they won't be able to reach their full potential, including with the harvest, unless we are able to weed and to prune and to easy. There's a lot that goes into that. There's a lot that goes into each life on this planet. So please understand, this is one of the most important precious metaphors, my 5th album, Growing Seeds in Mama's Garden of Love, that I dedicated in supporting and promoting stillborn pregnancy. I'm a fur baby mother. My bunnies are my babies, my family, my fur baby family. They're my therapy animals, they're my lifeline. They contribute to these gardens. They rely on these gardens, these herbs. So do not add to being a weed metaphorically. Do not add to the weeds physically. Do not poison things. Do not put away your DDT now. Do not contribute to that. Be able to contribute to what is sustaining, to what is moving us forward and bringing us back together. Because each community needs unity. Each community needs harmony. And when you have all of this racism and sexism and ageism and whatever the isms aside, whatever it is that's come between, the true love, that is the glue to glue the broken pieces back together, to be able to grow and heal. I don't know if you need healing, but I know how much healing I need. I know how many times I've been broken and how wrong it has been. So, ask yourself a personal question. So you open your mind and you open your heart. Challenge yourself in a good way. What are ways that I can heal? That I can learn and grow, and that I can understand by delving deeper, by being introspective, by communicating how you truly feel. And it's not easy, and a lot of times the people you trust they rebuff you, and it's the worst feeling in the world. And sometimes your therapist is not there for you, or sometimes it's the wrong therapist. But we stay stuck. The more we feel trapped, the more trapped we are. So the more we can shift our focus, just one thing, however infinitesimally small. It's not about that. We don't always make monumental, mountainous strides. We can't always move mountains. Sometimes we have to focus on molehills, on baby steps. And you know what? Everybody on this earth crawled. Every human on this earth crawled before they walked. There is not a leader, an authority figure. There is not anybody, celebrities, whoever it is that you think is, everybody is on the same level. We were all babies. We were all in that womb feeling, being vulnerable and needing support and needing not to be aborted. Needing to be able to have support, to live, to be sustained. And when we're evergreen, when we get that old, sometimes we need help walking again. We need help to stand. Sometimes we all fall down. Who's there to help us up when you're needing help? So don't give up. You have to understand, believe that there are people everywhere, and there are animals who want to be part of the healing process, who want to be part of the solution, who want to be able to do you understand how hard they try? We try to survive. And this is another talk, but about with factoring in the concept of money. How much of our daily intake of thought process, of our actions, of our efforts and energy are exerted trying to be able to sustain our living by having enough money. But we need to understand this. I don't know if it's my first, but it's not my last, but it certainly will be one of my TED Talks. One of my speeches that I'm going to share is about true worth versus net worth, and perception versus truth. The truth in value. The value of truth. And yes, I have a lot to share. Yes, I'm too long-winded sometimes, but you can either look down on it or embrace it, appreciate it, respect it, and you'll be blessed if you're able to try to do that. I'm trying to find the right opportunities to be a spokesperson. Yes, I'm a model. I have nothing to be ashamed of. I'm a spokesmodel. I'm also a person. I'm a spokesperson. And I want to find the right opportunities, the right people and animals to team up with, and not feel neglected and ignored and excommunicated or shut out by the people and animals I want to connect with. Like PETA, like Oxbow, like the Foundation, and lots of others here. And I don't say these things because I'm, nothing negative. But it is a problem when you're not able to, when people are ashamed and blocking other people and spreading things around that are not true, that are defamatory. So yes, there's good reason why that is unconstitutional and against the laws, because look what damage it has done. It's not just about reputation. It's about associating that with someone's character, with someone's being, their essence of being, with someone's livelihood, which will plummet, if people are spreading these things around. Some people involved with targeting people, using them the wrong way as sacrifices without their consent, trying to bring them down. And this is all wrong. This is all in the realm of common indecency. Whatever variance degree of being wrong, I know it is. There are so many reasons that we need to be able to focus on helping each other be perceived as real humans and not anything negative, and not dehumanizing, including sexually exploiting. Not just women. This is with men. This is with children. This is with animals. With the pornography, pedophilia, and bestiality. And all of these things can trigger a chain reaction of other things that aren't right. Because I know the anger that has provoked, that has evoked. And I know how wrong it has been, and what kind of suffering that should have been prevented and avoided. And the people that condone that and actually profiting from it, like the pornographers, they need to be brought to justice. And I do not believe in punitive, that punishment is a form of justice. But they need to be prevented from inducing further suffering, which has a ripple effect on others' suffering. And the people who are committing these crimes against animals are more likely. Research has shown that as well, proving that they are more likely to commit crimes against humans and against other crimes. And if they can understand in a civil, peaceful way and not be punished but instead be able to be prevented if they can understand why it is wrong and why these precious animals have such an important impact and place and inspiration in creation. That they have capacity to heal, to bring joy. There are research studies about pet therapy. And that's not just to mention pets, but also therapy animals, emotional support animals. And I don't agree with the differentiation. I will share more about this later. But these living creatures, these animals, whether they are wild or domestic, whatever size, even the insects and the bugs, no, they don't have a place, in the house, and I go out of my way to save them whenever I can. I'm not saying I'm, perfect role model and saying all that. No. But I understand how precious life is. And I hope you will share in that perspective. And also that they work so hard to survive. Even the little sugar, even the flies. And the more that we are trying to prevent suffering, the more, at the heart level, I have a hard time killing, any creature, but seeing suffering from any kind of insect or I even say worms. I can't stand them to be. So the more that that these people, their tendencies, their masochistic masochistic tendencies are being provoked, and they are associating that with the temptation that is delusional, that is wrong, delusional about sexual gratification, which is very selfish and narcissistic in of itself. But to associate that as a form of entertainment, we as a culture and society have become so jaded and so desensitized with all of the pervasive media and social media. And I'm not trying to lecture anybody here, but I hope you can understand. You got to you yourself are empowered. And yes, there's peer pressure. Yes, there's pressure from all kinds of people, unfortunately, your closest friends and family. But those influences should not have a hold over you, and there is definitely right and wrong, and you will know that. If you've ever suffered, if you know what that suffering is like, to put people or animals through that for sexual gratification purpose, entertainment purposes, that's not purpose. That is not an excuse. That's just wrong. And put them through that being raped and tortured and killed. Some of them are dumped into the dumpster and continue suffering and feel abandoned and can barely even move. Do you know what it's like to feel that numb? And have to dissociate. Because you don't want to die and you work so hard to survive. But you're at that point. So, I can relate, having gone through the seizure-like episodes. We'll talk more about later. This is heavy stuff. This is real life. I am not talking about this to entertain you, to build myself up, put myself, whatever. I am just being honest. I want you to understand on a heart level, not just sharing this out of the mind theoretically, intellectually. I'm not trying to be that way. I'm trying to communicate here. So please respect that we all have boundaries. If you're hurting me, you're still, I say, you know what? That hurt. You continue to do that, you know? And you have that tendency to not care about if someone else is in pain. You know, I mean, it's one thing to not understand that. If a dog is growling or a cat is hissing, that's a clear sign. That you cross their boundary and they are about ready to use their claws or their fangs, their teeth. So, that's your warning. Rattlesnakes, that's your warning. But you don't always have a warning. So if you are triggering someone, like my anger included, Mama Bear, to that point, then you better watch out, because you were warned. And sometimes people and animals, that's out of self-defense. Do they want to react that way? No. Is it a defense mechanism? Yes. Is it them fighting for their lives to survive? Yes. So, please understand that and have respect for others' boundaries, yourself included. Because when you listen to your body. It's not easy. Sometimes we neglect that. Sometimes we hear other voices that aren't right. Honor and respect yourself as creation too, and your limits being human too. When my body is done working, let me know that. If people can't respect that I have limits as a human and I'm not able to do slave labor, manual labor, I'm alluding to my own experience. I'm not trying to be offensive here. Then if they're not able to offer some kind of efforts to help with that, or to have even respect to say, I'm sorry you have to do all that. Is there any way I can help? Because I have asked how many times and been denied that. People playing mind games with me and saying, oh, are you sure you... They have no idea, and I have evidence. You shouldn't always have to need evidence, but you do in a society. But people need to respect your own boundaries. And yourself too. So I'm reiterating that. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. And we look forward to continue sharing from the heart with soul. Stay tuned and happy. May you be able to feel free and happy however trapped you, because believe me, I of all people, we of all people, look at what they're in these cages. And I'll talk about that later, but we need to be part of each other's freedom. To be part of each other's sustainability, vitality, integrity, dignity. On how much of integrity, how much of dignity is there integrity? So these are points to ponder. I don't want to belabor things, but I really do deserve to be paid for everything I've shared, and we deserve the refunds that were too many of which were not granted. And I've been spinning my wheels because I have not had the support that we needed. So I'm going to try to be more specific, more concise. I've tried so hard to be professional, but with people trying to take things away that don't belong to them, including reputation, including identity, including all these things, just battling against all these other forces, you should not be the case. So don't contribute to that. Be part of the solution. Thank you.